there's yarmulkes by the name drawers. If you would, in the corner, if you would like to be part of the experience, feel free to take a yarmulke.
Good morning. Today, we celebrate Passover.
Thank you so much for being here today. This holiday means a lot to me personally. It's a holiday I've celebrated my entire life, and it connects me to my parents and grandparents. It's a thread through all the generations. Traditions bond us together as a family, and today, you are that family for us.
We have come together this morning for many reasons. We are here because spring is all around, and the earth is reborn. It is a good season to celebrate with family and friends. We are also here to experience the Jewish spirit and to appreciate Judaism's historic roots as part of our own UU tradition. We are here to remember an important story of liberation of the ancient Hebrews from slavery in Egypt, a great struggle for freedom and dignity. We are here because the struggle for freedom never stops. We are here to remember all people who are still struggling for their freedom.
So at your seats are these books that we're reading from, and we'd like you to follow along. They're right on your seats. So we're just on page 1. The Torah states that Jews are to observe the holiday of Passover for 7 days. The first night always includes a special meal called a Seder, which we are observing today. The word Seder means order, signifying the particular ritual order of instructions, explanations, blessings, and stories that are laid out in the Passover Haggadah, the booklet for the meal, which you should all have one. Haggadah translates to the telling, referring to one of the most important aspects of the Seder, the recitation of the story of Exodus.
The Hebrew word for this holiday is Pesach, which means Passover. It refers to an episode in the Exodus story on the night before the Hebrews escaped slavery, when the angel of death harmlessly passed over the homes of the Jewish slaves while bringing sorrow and tragedy to their Egyptian taskmasters.
The spirit of Passover, bringing people together to retell, relive, and reenact this specific historic escape from bondage, allows all of us an opportunity to think about freedom. Throughout time and place, the shackles on bodies and minds have prevented individuals and groups of people from making the most of their lives.
The Haggadah connects the traditional customs with a text that provides opportunities for everyone at the table to share their own search for freedom. It welcomes people from different places, ages, beliefs, and nationalities to come and share in the Seder. Traditional Haggadahs have evolved over time to include other stories and struggles for freedom, expanding our understanding of the original story of the Exodus from Egypt to make the Seder experience ever more inclusive.
We gather together at Passover to celebrate the liberation of the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt more than 3,000 years ago. There is both inspiration and meaning in this telling, whether we see the struggle as a historical part of our roots or as a metaphor for all who strive to be free.
On our tables are tzedakah boxes. Tzedakah is a Hebrew word that is commonly referred to as charity, but the literal translation of the word tzedak is justice, righteousness, or fairness. Participating in tzedakah is in accordance with our second principle of justice, equity, and compassion. All proceeds collected today will benefit BCAT. Please give as you are able. Slavery exists in our modern world right here in Bucks County. Your donation today will go to BCAT, the Bucks County Coalition Against Trafficking, a project of NOVA. Their mission is to eradicate sex and labor trafficking in Bucks County. Funds will help support at-risk vulnerable people such as homeless youth and those with addictions, as well as immigrants with language barriers. Your dollars provide housing, education, and support with medical and legal services. Please give generously in the tzedakah boxes, which are passed around. Is that right?
So the boxes are at the end of each table, so if you could each give as you're able and pass to the next person toward the center.
Also, please help yourself to the information sheets that have been provided.
They're
at your
back
table?
by where your name tag, where you got your name tags.
Okay.
And Abby's gonna play a little something while we do that.
All right, so as we give today, there is a song that I wrote, actually, that shares the name of this holiday. Now, I didn't write it for this holiday, it's just a coincidence. But it does have a wonderful meaning that can be applied to this holiday for anything horrible that you are going through, no matter just how horrible it is. The belief that you will come out on the other side is always possible, and it's what helps us get over those very hard things and those difficult times. So as we pass the boxes around and we give so that other people can also have better times ahead, let's sing this song called Passover. It goes like this. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. Try that with me. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. A storm's about to appear, and not a thing will be dry. But the skies, they always clear. It's just a matter of time. Here we go. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. Let's sing it again. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, 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 sun.
One of my favorites.
In ancient times, Passover was a festival of pilgrimage for Jews who traveled to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem to worship. We commemorate that pilgrimage by coming together with those we love and those whom we did not know before today. We are grateful to be with family and friends once more. We welcome people of other faiths and cultures to our table and feel privileged to share this ritual order, this Seder, with you.
Janet will now light this memorial candle, traditionally called a yahrzeit candle. Let us pause to remember those whom we love who are not present at our table. By naming them, we bring their spirit to our gathering. So, take a moment, think. As we look around the room, and I'll start over this side. As we look around the room, please say out loud the name of a loved one that you will remember.
And if we say, if it says the names come together, sorry, a little phagic there. If the names end up coming all together, that's okay. I'm gonna start. There were so many people we lost this year and in recent times. So I want to remember my dad, Norman, and my sister, Marcia, Avi.
My dad, Eric.
And then we're gonna do like this, and you guys just call names out of your loved ones.
Just shout it out.
Shout it out.
Sue, and is there anybody in the back?
Second table. Just call out names.
Okay.
By saying their names, and we bring them into the ceremony with us. It is said, there is nothing new under the sun, yet nothing remains the same. The sun rises and the sun sets, yet each day and each season is fresh and new. The light of these candles symbolizes a renewal of life, a reaffirmation of freedom. We light the Passover candles and say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. And everyone together, as we gather together to kindle the festival candles with the light of liberation, let us bless life. Please light your candles.
That's it. All set up.
Can we give you some
that'll-
dud candles or matches or whatever?
I think they're good. That looks great. Looks great. Now, we now light the chalice and say, may the festival lights we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve the cause of freedom. And now we'll have Avi singing Hinei Matov.
How goodly we are in your eyes, that we all sit together as brothers and sisters.
A traditional Hebrew song that we often sing to welcome each other together. And you can also find this song in our UU hymnal. That's how universal this song is. So we sing together the Hebrew words that can be found in your Haggadah books. It goes like this. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
So by your place setting, you have what we're going to pretend is wine. So you can see how this holiday can be a lot of fun because there's 4 glasses of wine involved. Unfortunately, yours is apple juice, but we're going to pretend. The number 4 appears many times in our Seder. Let us fill the first 4 cups of wine or grape juice. Each time we raise the glass, we're going to raise the glass, say the full prayer, and then drink. Spring is the season of rebirth and new life.
Let us raise our cups to signify our gratitude for life and say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri hagafen. Blessed is the source of life that creates the fruit of the vine. We give thanks for the oneness of the people of the world that are exalted by the life of mind, body, and spirit, and the love of freedom, that we have the gift to know what is holy and profane, what is freedom and what is slavery. We are thankful for the occasions of joy, for festivals and seasons of gladness.
You may now drink from the first cup of wine. L'chaim. Let us say the blessing that reminds us of the transitory nature of existence, of the wondrous nature of being alive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shehekianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. May the source of life sustain you in life. May all that is noble and true in the universe inspire your lives together and bring peace to all humankind. So traditionally, growing up, there was always like a little basin of warm water, but COVID and modern times, we have hand sanitizer. So we have brought the 21st century into this ancient holiday celebration.
So this is not even symbolic.
He's really
this
doing
is for real. It is a tradition that the participants in the Seder begin by washing their hands as an act of purification. I wash my hands as a symbol for us all.
Karpas.
Karpas is a green vegetable, usually parsley, sometimes celery. Karpas symbolizes the freshness of spring and renewal. Karpas is the first bite of food we eat today. The bowl of salt water symbolizes the tears and sweat of enslavement, though paradoxically, it is also a symbol of purity, springtime, the mother of all life. Salt water sits on the table into which each person then dips their karpas. So we dip the vegetables in the salt water to remember the tears of the Jews who once were slaves in Egypt. We remind ourselves that the tender greens of earth and the salt of the seas join together to sustain life. May the eating of the karpas renew us as spring renews the earth.
So there's celery, there's at the table. You're gonna take a piece of celery and don't eat it yet. Don't eat it yet. Dip it in the salt water. And we're gonna say the prayer and then you eat it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adamah. Blessed is the power of life that creates the fruit of the earth.
You may now eat.
But then, how are you going to read?
Pesach always falls on the first full moon of spring. According to Hebrew calendar, the month of Nisan is the beginning of spring, which signals the reawakening of the natural world that speaks to the human spirit of renewed hope and possibility. The natural world is freed from constraints of winter and leaps at the opportunity for new expression. The process of reawakening is universal. This particular celebration is singularly Jewish. We allow the past to be real again so that we can avoid repeating it.
Okay. All right, kids. I'm very excited that there are kids here. This is a kid holiday, and this incredible silence never happens at home. It's always like very loud. You're always shushing the kids. So kids, thank you for being here. You are very important to these celebrations. All right, so this is really important, kids. Pay attention. We are going to break the matzah. We are going to hide it, okay? Truth be told, it has already been hidden. So we're going to pretend that this is the piece that was hidden. You guys, while the adults are lining up for the buffet later, before you guys line up, I'm going to do hot and cold with you, and whoever finds the piece of matzah, it's wrapped in a green velvet envelope with gold writing on it. And whoever finds it brings it to Rich, and he will give you a prize. Yes, extremely important. Most important part of the whole thing, the matzah.
So when did you hide it? Because I don't remember that part of it.
Oh,
it's
tradition.
I thought it was magic.
It's magic. That's right, Rich. It's magic. Oh, I'm going to have to do a thing. Ready? Lo! This is the bread of affliction, the humble and simple bread which our ancestors ate. All who are hungry, come and eat. All who are in need, come and celebrate Pesach. Now here, next year in the Promised Land. Now enslaved, next year free. Okay. Now, again, kids are very important. And we love when the kids ask questions, and that is kind of like the heart of this ceremony. So the 4 kids that I have given questions to, can you guys come up here and line up? You can do it. You get prizes for it. Any prizes later. Prizes for all.
We have real participation trophies.
Yes, we do. All right, so line up in the order.
They've earned it.
Questions. Who's number 1? Number 2? Number 3? Really number 1. All right, so Avi is going to kick us off with the Hebrew, and then the kids will do the English.
All right, so we're going to sing together these 4 questions. There's like a big overall umbrella question, which is a very famous one. Why is this night different from all other nights? And then we ask 4 specific questions of what makes this Seder different from every other time that we celebrate. And so we'll sing this together, and then our kids will translate for us. And traditionally, at a Jewish Seder, the youngest person who is able to sings these 4 questions, symbolizing that the youngest person should ask and is encouraged to ask questions. And we, as people who are older, are encouraged to try and give answers and to explain. It's up to us to teach, and it's up to the young to ask in order to learn. Now, in my family, I was the youngest up until I was about 24, because I didn't have any little cousins come along until much later. So I sang it for a long, long time. So it's also traditional that anyone young can ask. So anyone young at heart can join me in singing the 4 questions. You have the transliteration on your pages, so you can sing in Hebrew with me. And just so you know, we start out, the first half of the question is nice and slow, and then and then the second half of the question is a little bit faster. You could even clap your hands as we sing it. So it goes like this. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol haleilot mikol haleilot. Here's question 1. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. Now we can clap. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. Let's clap. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מרור. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מרור. שבכל הלילות אין אנו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. Question 4. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים, בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים.
So now our kids are gonna each take turns doing a question each, and we as the elders, all of us, are going to answer each question as they're asked. All right, number 1 kid. Oh wait, you know what?
We gotta
We
get
got
this.
yeah.
Because it's so cool.
There you go.
On all other nights we eat bread that rises or unleavened bread. Why on this night do we only eat matzah?
And then we answer her. To remember that when Pharaoh let our ancestors go from Egypt, they were forced to flee in great haste. They could not wait for the dough to rise.
On all other nights, can you say it with me? Okay. On all other nights, we eat all kinds of herbs. Why on this night do we only eat bitter herbs?
To remember that the life of slavery is a bitter one.
On all other nights we do not dip herbs even once. Why on this night do we dip twice?
We dip parsley into salt water to mix the salty tears of sorrow with the hope of spring, remembering that life mixes sadness and joy for all. We mix bitter herbs in sweet mixture called haroset, where people can survive the bitterness of slavery if it is sweetened by the hope of freedom.
On all other nights we eat sitting up. Why on this night do we recline?
Only free people can relax while eating. At this table we celebrate peace and contentment and our deliverance from slavery to freedom. It is our duty and privilege to retell and experience the story of the Exodus from Egypt. This story deepens our appreciation of freedom and strengthens our will to retain it for ourselves as well as gain it for others. Thanks, guys. You can go back to your seats. And I have prizes for you guys all later. Thank you.
We are instructed to tell the story of the Exodus so that everyone can understand. People differ in the questions they ask and the answers they require, adding variety to the texture of life. We encourage the asking of questions and the meaningful search for answers. The self-centered person may ask, I've worked hard to get where I am. Why should I be concerned with anyone else? You?
If only for yourself, you are truly alone.
The unselfish one may ask, when there is so much suffering in the world, how can I be concerned for myself and my family?
If you are not for yourself,
Who will you be for?
You too are worthy of happiness.
The person who is overwhelmed by the problems of the world may ask, how should I begin? How will I ever succeed?
It is not up to you to complete the task, but you can begin it where you see the need. If not now, when?
And a curious person may ask, how can we, in our daily lives, put into practice the lessons we are learning here tonight?
We can each make a worthwhile contribution to the transformation of society. The first step is to understand.
The story of Exodus has been told and retold from generation to generation. Older people tell it to the young so that they in turn can tell it to those who come after. We love the children who are here today, and we are thankful for the questions they ask.
So if your wine glass is not full, there should be some on the end of the table to make sure that you fill up for the second cup of wine. The second cup of wine is dedicated to all people seeking a secure life, free of fear and persecution. We hope that they may all learn to live together in freedom and peace. Let us raise our cups in a toast to peace and freedom for all, and say the prayer, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Blessed is the source of life that creates the fruit of the vine.
You may now drink from the second cup of wine.
And now, all together, we're going to tell the story. We're going to pass the mic around, and each person's going to read a paragraph. You can pass if you don't want to, but we would love at least 2 or 3 people from each table to start reading the story. So we're going to pass the mic around.
Mike is going to read.
3,000 years ago, Joseph came into Egypt as a stranger and became an advisor to the Pharaoh. Following Joseph's advice, the land of Egypt prospered. Joseph's people were invited to leave their land of famine in Canaan and take refuge in Joseph's adopted country. There, the Jews multiplied and lived happily for many generations.
They became so numerous that a new Pharaoh came to fear the presence of this large minority. So what did the Pharaoh do? He enslaved the Jews to secure power over them, made them work hard labor on the pyramids.
Then, to reduce their numbers, he told the midwives to kill all newborn Jewish males. Cleverly, the midwives told the Pharaoh that Jewish mothers gave birth very quickly, allowing time for them to hide the babies before the midwives arrived.
Miriam was 5 years old when her mother gave birth to her brother Moses. What was to be done with a baby whose cries could be heard by the neighbors? It was Miriam who suggested that her mother place him in a basket of papyrus reeds and hide him in the tall grass by the river. One day when the Pharaoh's daughter came to the river to bathe, Miriam floated the basket downstream right under her nose. The Pharaoh's daughter was delighted with the sweet baby gurgling in his basket. "Oh, I'll raise you," she exclaimed, "but who will feed you?" And Miriam piped up from her hiding place, "I know a good woman who will nurse him." And that is how Moses was cared by his own mother.
Moses grew up in the palace with no knowledge that he was a Jew or that the slave who nursed him was his mother. Because of his kind heart, he took pity on slaves he saw mistreated by the Pharaoh's taskmasters. Once, while trying to prevent a brutal whipping of a Hebrew slave, Moses was struck by an Egyptian guard and killed him.
Fearing the consequences, Moses fled and became a shepherd. One day, while grazing his flock, he had a vision of a bush that burned with fire, but was not consumed. In his heart, he heard a voice commanding him to return to Egypt, where the Jews were still enslaved, and to find a way to set them free. Because Moses stuttered, he brought his brother Aaron to speak for him, and when they came before the Pharaoh, Pharaoh refused to listen to their plea.
Let us remember that the thirst for freedom exists in all people. Many centuries after the legendary time of Moses, African people were brought to America as slaves. Those slaves longed for freedom, and they were inspired by the story of Moses and the ancient Israelites.
When the slaves in America sang "Go Down, Moses," they used this biblical story as a reference as they were thinking of their own leaders who were working to end slavery. Let us now sing this traditional spiritual.
Thank you very much.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, together, let my people go, oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses said, these chains of slaves will soon be gone. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Let all of us from bondage flee, and soon may all the earth be free. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go.
And now the conclusion of the story.
Moses warned Pharaoh that there would be trouble unless his plea was granted. Pharaoh refused. And so one terrible plague after another came upon the Egyptians. Short one.
After 9 horrible afflictions, Moses foretold the 10th and most horrible plague that night. The angel of death would visit each household, and the firstborn son in each Egyptian family would perish. To protect their own sons, the Jewish parents smeared lamb's blood over their doorpost as a sign for the angel of death to pass over their houses. There were great mournful cries throughout Egypt that night, but only when the Pharaoh's own son died did the Pharaoh submit, and he ordered the Israelites to leave at once.
The Jews fled in haste. As they approached the Red Sea, they saw that Pharaoh had a change of heart, for behind them, in pursuit, were the forces of the Pharaoh's army. They were trapped. One brave man, Nashon, began to walk into the sea with the faith that the promise of freedom lay on the other side. Then a miracle occurred. The waters of the sea parted so that the Jews walked safely on dry land to the other side. When the Pharaoh's soldiers pursued them, the waters crashed back together and drowned them all.
The Jews were now free from bondage, yet they wandered 40 years in the desert. During this time, they received the 10 Commandments. It was only those of the generation born in freedom who were able to enter the land of Israel, the promised land of milk and honey. At our Passover Seder, we celebrate the story of Moses and the people he led out of slavery 3,000 years ago. We celebrate the struggle of all people to be free. Throughout the centuries, the story of Moses and the Exodus from Egypt has inspired Jews and non-Jews in times of persecution and hardship.
Now, these themes are very serious in nature and have a lot of very serious implications for where we come from and what we are experiencing today. This song does not reflect that. This song is a song inspired by the Chuck Berry song, Louie Louie.
Oh, yeah.
So please join me in the chorus on the next page where it says, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. And we're going to sing the chorus together. It goes like this. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. And then you have to, with the band in, ay, 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 Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Let me hear you now. Ay, 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 a burning bush told me the other day that I should go down to Egypt and say it's time to let my people be free. So listen to God if you won't listen to me. Let's sing Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 well, me and my people going to the Red Sea with all of Pharaoh's army chasing after me. I took my staff and stuck it in the sand, and all the Jewish people walked on dry land. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 well, that's the story of the stubborn goat. Pharaoh should have known that chariots don't float. The lesson is simple, it's easy to find. When God says go, you had better mind. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 sing it again. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh, baby, let my people go. Ay, 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 ay.
Yeah, so as Avi said, it's just serious themes, but it's a time of joy. It's when we're together with our family. It's like Passover was like our Christmas in our family. Like Christmas was, very downplayed. Being Jewish, it was kind of like maybe we snuck it in, maybe we didn't, but we didn't celebrate Christmas. This was our big family holiday that brought, my cousins together, and my dad was led the service, and it was, important to me because of family and love, and it was fun, and there was boisterousness. But, especially given in what's going on now in the Middle East, we're not going to make fun of this next part where, truthfully, as a kid, this was like a joke. It's really not a joke, where it's never a joke when anyone, even our enemies, suffer. So, in this next ritual, what we're going to do is, what we're symbolizing is that wine is a sign of joy. And what we're saying is that our joy cannot be full, it cannot be complete when others suffer. So we're going to dip our finger into our wine, and that's why you have the little plates, and take a drop out for each of the plagues that the Egyptians suffered. And I'm just going to read what it says. While we celebrate the freedom of the Hebrew slaves, our joy cannot be full, since the Egyptians too are our brothers and sisters. We now dip our pinky finger into our glasses and spill out a drop on our plates as we name each plague that the Egyptians suffered. So I'm going to say the Hebrew. Actually, I'm going to let Avi say the Hebrew, since he was making fun of my Hebrew earlier. And then we will say the English. Take it away, Avi.
For the record, I was not making fun of it. I would never. Okay.
All right.
Dam.
Blood.
Tzfardea.
Frogs.
Kinim.
Lice.
Arov.
Wild beast.
Dever.
Pestilence.
Shechin.
Boils.
Barad.
Hail.
Arbe.
Locust.
Choshech.
Darkness.
Makat bechorot.
Slaying of the firstborn.
Dayenu means it would have been enough. The Jews see Dayenu as a call to be grateful for where you are, wherever you are, knowing it is where you are supposed to be. It is also a call for humility, balance, and moderation, for not overdoing, overworking, or even over-celebrating. Dayenu means doesn't mean you should rest on your laurel, far from it. Dayenu means you must appreciate where you are and what you've accomplished. It also means you need to appreciate others and the good things in your life. Each time the refrain in the song says, remember that you were a slave in Egypt. It's a call to remember humility, to be generous to strangers, and to treat all others as you would wish to be treated. In short, the song says, if God just took us out of Egypt, that would have been enough. If God had just given us the Sabbath day, that would have been enough. So now.
This is another joyous song, and we'll sing the chorus together. You can feel free to clap along and sing along, and we'll do the verses in English. The chorus goes like this. Die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, 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 die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. Here's the first verse. Had God brought us out of Egypt, only let us out of Egypt. Had God brought us out of Egypt, Dayenu. Let's sing. Die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, 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 die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, die, Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. Had God given us the Sabbath, only given us the Sabbath. Had God given us the Sabbath, Dayenu. Hey! Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Had God given us the Torah, only given us the Torah. Had God given us the Torah, Dayenu. Sing, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu,
tease you because I love you. All right, we're just going to hold up the Seder plate. You all have a Seder plate at your places. Just hold that up so they can see it. The Seder plate holds at least 6 of the ritual items that are talked about during the Seder. The matzah, roasted bone, karpas, haroset, maror, and a roasted egg. Each item has a purpose. Traditionally, these items are on the table at a Passover Seder. We have previously talked about the karpas and salt water. Perhaps the most important symbol on the Seder table is a stack of matzah, or unleavened bread. Matzah was the flat bread eaten by the Jews, made during their hasty escape from Egypt. The matzot are typically covered with a cloth. People have come up with numerous interpretations of the 3 matzot. During the struggles of Soviet Jewry, a 4th piece of matzah was added to the Seder plate to symbolize the struggles of Jews who were not yet free enough to celebrate Passover. Today, some families still use that 4th matzah as a way of remembering all people who are not yet free to celebrate as they may wish. So now I'm going to ask everyone to break off a piece of matzah and eat it after the 2 blessings are said. Okay. Everybody have their matzah? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed is the source of life that brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Blessed is the spirit of sharing in which we remember and eat matzah. You may eat your matzah.
Okay. Maror is a bitter herb which is most commonly represented by horseradish. Bitter herbs bring tears to the eyes and recall the bitterness of slavery. The Seder refers to the slavery in Egypt, but people can also look at their own bitter enslavements, whether addiction or habit.
So at your place settings, probably in the middle of your Seder plate, you have horseradish. So we are going to say the prayer, and then you can take a little bit of the horseradish and put it on your matzah. We're gonna, so take a little bit and just put it on a piece of matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed is the bitterness of life that teaches us to love the sweet. So you can put a little bit of horseradish on your matzah and take a little bite of that. Woo!
It's fresh. A roset is a sweet salad of apples, nuts, wine, and cinnamon that represents the mortar used by the Hebrew slaves to make bricks for the Egyptians. Just as we dipped our parsley in salt water to remind us the sadness of slavery, we put haroset on our matzah and eat it to remind us to enjoy the sweetness of life. You may eat the haroset.
So put a little of the apple mixture. Thank you, Karen Marcus, for the haroset. And take a little taste of that.
Now, we eat some maror and haroset, bitter and sweet, together. You may make a little Hillel sandwich named for Rabbi Hillel by putting the roset and the bitter herbs in between two pieces of matzah. Rabbi Hillel said that slavery and freedom are merged. In times of freedom, we must not forget the bitterness of slavery. In times of oppression, we must keep alive the hope of freedom. You may eat the sandwich now.
So typically there's a hard-boiled egg on your Seder plate, but we don't want to waste the eggs, so our friend Tracy made us deviled eggs that we're going to eat later.
Oh.
So there are eggs for the ceremony, but we're going to eat them for lunch. But the egg represents the beginning and renewal of life and reminds us of spring. The egg is also symbolic of the regular festival sacrifice performed in the days when the Holy Temple stood in Jerusalem.
The roasted shank bone commemorates the lamb sacrifice made the night the Hebrews fled Egypt. In vegetarian homes, the roasted shank bone is sometimes replaced with olives, which represent the olive branch, an international symbol of peace. Some homes use both symbols on the Seder plate.
There is an orange at your tables. I hope somebody eats them and they don't go to waste. But an orange is a newer symbol at the Seder table, on the Seder plate, and it represents the inclusion of LGBTQ plus people in our community. It is a symbol that everyone in our diverse family has a right to sit at our table.
This cup of Elijah is for the wandering prophet Elijah, who performed many miracles. It is said that Elijah's return will herald the coming of the Messiah, who brings liberation to all people on earth. We rise and open the door. Can somebody open the door a little bit over there?
And let Elijah in.
Let the poor guy in, please. Oh. That's all right. You don't have to write him. He's patient. As a sign for welcoming Elijah and as a symbol for hospitality, friendliness, and openness to others. As our door is open, may not only the hungry come, but also the spirit of the prophet Elijah, who in defense of justice challenged power. It was foretold that Elijah will usher in the coming days of righteousness by turning the hearts of all to each other. For Elijah, we set aside a special cup of wine. The spirit of Elijah inspires us to work toward a future where the world is whole and at peace, and justice and compassion reign.
Please join me in singing. In Hebrew, the name of Elijah is Eliyahu. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera Beyamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
Okay, this is symbolic of Miriam's cup. Miriam's cup sits on the table next to Elijah's cup. This cup is filled with spring water rather than wine and honors the role of Miriam, the prophet, Moses' sister, in sustaining the Jewish people on the journey to freedom. This cup symbolizes the Talmudic story of Miriam's well, which brought water as the Israelite tribes traveled through the desert. Miriam's cup honors the motherly spirit of God that works through us all, and it honors all the people, all the women in our history who have nurtured and healed our people and us personally. All right, so this is the time in our service
Woohoo!
when we dance. Last year, I had a broken foot, so I could not be here to show you the dance. And it's a grapevine. My girlfriends and I are really versed in the grapevine, so I'm going to have them come up here.
This really requires audience participation. And we are celebrating Janet's liberation from her crutches and her, yes.
All right, so we're going to demonstrate the grapevine, and then we're all going to, whoever can, get up, and we're going to dance around these two tables. I realize this should be up a little bit, but we're going to have to make it. All right, so you're going to follow.
Yeah, so when we sing, the grapevine is pretty easy. Maybe we'll start at beginner level, and then we'll go to advanced level. There's only two differences between the two. All right, so the beginning step is you put your leg over, and then you bring your other leg next, and then you bring your other leg over, and bring your other leg next. So let's try that again. Ready? So you go over, and step, and over, and step. That's the advanced. We're going easy. All right, so.
And then right behind, grapevine, okay? Over and behind. Over, sorry, I'll
Do it, go at your own pace.
All right, everybody up. That can be up.
So as you are able, we're going to do the grapevine, a traditional dance around these two tables. If you are not able to, or you would like to just join and be in the center and just feel the dancing love and absorb the spirit, you can do that as well. Yes, and traditionally, and you'll hear it in the song, that Miriam and the women dance with timbrels, and we have some timbrels to add to our song. All right, and so when you hear this chorus, you can actually drop your hands and clap along with me and sing, and then we'll do the grapevine on the verses. So let's try and practice this grapevine. Remember, it's step over, step, behind, step. Over, step, behind, step. You got it. Over, step, behind, step. Over, step, behind, step. Over, step, behind, step. Over, step. And we'll try the chorus together. Keep grapevining. Here we go. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing the song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. All right, and stop. You think we got it? You guys ready to try it? Yeah. All right. Because now we're going a little faster. All right, here's the chorus. For this, I need you to clap your hands. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing the song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. All right, grab your hands, grapevine. Here we go. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove, which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. All right, let's clap, here we go. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. All right, grapevine. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. Clap and sing, and the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. One last grapevine, here we go. And Miriam took the prophet and the timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice with song and sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. Clap and sing, and the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing the song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing the song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Beautiful.
Get your wine glasses.
All right, use this one.
Let us refill our cups of wine or grape juice. We drink this third cup in gratitude for all the gifts we have been given. We are waiting to make sure everyone has a cup. The Seder reminds us of the gifts of relationships, of family and friends, of our material possessions, and of the greatest gift of all, the ability to challenge, question, choose, and to strive for freedom. Please raise your cup and say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Blessed is a source of light that creates the fruit of the vine. Now, we're going to have a prayer for all people. Waiting for Janet, which I do a lot.
Let us pray for all God's people, for the people who are blind and cannot see, and for those who can see but are blind to people around them.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help us touch each other. For people who are deaf and cannot hear, and for those who can hear, but who ignore the cries of others.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help us respond to each other. For people who are troubled in mind or spirit, and for those too proud to admit to having problems.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help us
to rely on each other.
For people who learn slowly, for people who learn in different ways, and for people who learn quickly and easily, but often choose ignorance.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help us grow in your wisdom. For people who have chronic illnesses for which there is no known cure or relief, and for people who live in unholy fear of developing a chronic illness.
Spirit of
Life, in your mercy, help us and heal us.
For families, friends, and caregivers who serve people with disabilities, and for those who feel awkward in their presence.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help us to see each other with your eyes. For people who think they are worthless and beyond your love, and for people who think they don't need your love.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, help others accept or not. For people who feel isolated by their disabilities, and for people who contribute to that sense of isolation.
Spirit of life, in your mercy, change our lives. For all people in your creation, that we may learn to respect each other and learn how to live together in your peace. Life,
in your mercy, bind us together.
Amen.
Please join us in singing Ad Gaya. Okay. This pleasant folk song describes the unhappy adventure of a little baby goat, a kid, Hadgaya, purchased for 2 zuzim coins by a kind father for his son. In this parable, the Jewish people sing about the eternal struggle of all things in the natural world, ever at war. But it concludes with an expression of hope. Then comes the Almighty Spirit bringing peace.
So this is one of those songs that builds upon itself. And as Rich mentioned, it talks about all the things in the natural world, right? We think about the circle of life, things that eat each other, that are constantly at war with each other. But it all comes back to the original little baby goat, which we call a kid, Chad Gad Ya in Hebrew. And the chorus goes like this. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Try that. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. And if you follow along with the story, the challenge is if you can say all of these words in one breath. Then came a cat and chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. That's easy, gets harder. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Then came a dog and bit the cat that chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Then came a stick and hit the dog that bit the cat that chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Then came the fire and burned the stick that hit the dog that bit the cat that chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Then came the wire and quenched the fire that burnt the stick that hit the dog that bit the cat that chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, Chad Gad Ya. Then came an ox and drank the water that quenched the fire that burnt the stick that hit the dog that bit the cat that chased the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the butcher and slaughtered the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that bit the dog, that bit the cat, that chased the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the Almighty, bringing peace. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya.
So I'm going to read this little section about the Afikomen, but we're going to do it at the end. I'll let you guys know when, okay? So what I've written here is the Afikomen is the middle matzah, which has been broken in half and hidden. The Afikomen symbolizes the Pesach sacrifice. Once it is bound, the children will exchange the recovered Afikomen, that's the matzah, for a small gift. The piece that is bound is placed next to the part from which it was broken to show that what is broken is not lost as long as it is remembered and searched for.
Once again, we have recited the tale of escape from bondage. We have reflected upon our history and sought to find its relevance to our lives today. Let us now allow the power Passover story to enter our everyday lives. Now we read together the blessing and gratitude for the freedom that has been granted to our ancestors and to us, and in thankfulness for the earth's bounties of which we eat. Let us go forth from this place committed anew to the cause of liberty and for all people everywhere, that next year we may celebrate a world made better for our efforts. May our togetherness today and our understanding of the interdependence of everything on earth inspire us to work with passion and joy for a better world. May we celebrate Passover next year in a world of peace.
Together.
Amen. All right. We must finish this.
Our last cup of wine. The fourth cup is symbolically represents working together for progressive change to bring about improvement of the world, for justice and for peace. We dedicate ourselves to improving the world. We raise our cup and say,
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Blessed is the source of life that creates the fruit of the vine. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
To life.
Thank you for attending the Passover Seder for Freedom at the UUFLB. We are thankful for this nourishing meal, for the wonderful and loving company that you all give us at this moment. Thanks. And let's eat.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to collect the books because we're going to use them next year. And these plates were in our hope to do better in the world. We're trying not to use disposable plates and silverware anymore, so don't throw your plates away. They're going to go in the container that right by the coffee cart, and we'll wash them. So we're going to have the adults start lining up for the buffet, and kids, I have gifts for you guys, but we're going to look for the matzah. I'm going to say hot and cold. It's somewhere in this room.
And let's all give a big round of applause to Rich and Janet Kelly, who put this on every year and did a wonderful job.
All right.